Greetings, tacos. We are here for another fun-filled Talk About It Friday, where we answer some questions and get to some fun discussions for you to have with your friends and family here on this Friday. So let's get right into it with our Talk About It questions for today. Here we go! Alright everyone, you know how we kick it off, so let's get started with our starter. Okay everybody, the starter for this week is a question that has to do with the season that we are in with the church. As you know, Wednesday was Ash Wednesday, and that is the beginning of the season of Lent, where it's 40 days until we get to the Easter season, where Jesus rises from the dead after he was crucified. And as is tradition with some people in some kinds of flavors of Christianity, people give things up for Lent. And so the question is, did you give anything up for Lent? And another thing that you likely know about me is that I have a chocolate addiction. It's something that I'm not very fond of, but I also enjoy because I love chocolate. I love to eat and consume chocolate. And one of my New Year's resolutions, as you likely knew from previous videos where I've answered this question, is I gave up chocolate. And last year I did it for the entire month of January. And this year I got to January again and I did it without chocolate. But over the course of the month of February in the past few weeks, I have not been honoring that commitment that I've made. So what I did for giving something up for Lent is I again am going to give up chocolate. I hope that this can help me in my journey of reflection and everything like that, along with my journey of getting my chocolate addiction under control. So that is something that I gave up for Lent. Now, if you want to share what you gave up for Lent, that'd be cool too. And if you didn't give up anything for Lent, that's also cool, because it's not something that everybody does to practice the season of Lent and to reflect. But I have been giving things up throughout my life, and I decided to give up chocolate for Lent this season. So that, my friends, is our starter. All right, now you know what time it is. We are going to get into our comical questions. The first comical question that we have for today is, if animals could talk, which would be the rudest? Alright friends, now when we're thinking about animals, there are so many animals to choose from. You have like farm animals, you have like rainforest animals, you have just general forest animals, you have domestic animals, you have all kinds of reptiles. It's crazy. The list of animals is numerous, and I'm sure many of them would have very interesting characteristics if they could talk and kind of the way in which they would control their conversations. But for me, I'm going to stick to the simplistic side of things and go on the domestic side. So when we're thinking about
cats and dogs,
we think about how they live with us all the time, and they likely would have the most time to communicate with humans.
If that makes sense.
And I always grew up with cats. Now, if I'm thinking about dogs and their interactions, it would be pretty much how they already react. They're very excited about most things and want to get to things.
They really want to go on walks and play with their toys and all kinds of things.
They'd likely have a lot of energy and probably wouldn't be too rude most of the times, unless you have a super rude dog. But I haven't met too many rude dogs in my life. On the contrary, I have met a few
moody cats.
And I have a really loving cat right now in my family with, we're at my mom and dad's house, Camo. You guys know who Camo is. You have experienced him on these videos, and here's another picture of him just to kind of bring him back into memory. But there are many times in this cat's life, and in previous cats, and in things that I've seen with cats, where cats just kind of sit there and watch you do things. Or like when you're calling them over, they'll just kind of stand there and watch you. And it's like,
you know that they are judging you for what you're doing right now.
And I think that that would be their rudeness playing out. If they could talk to you, they'd be like,
dude, why do you want me to come over? Or dude, why are you doing this? Just feed me food.
I think they would be a more moody species than dogs, and then that way they would be a more rude animal if they could talk. Now, I love my cat, and I love the things that he does, and I love how, cuddly he is, but I feel like if he were to be able to talk, I'd probably feel a little differently about him sometimes. Because Camo does get in his moods, and I think he would be a little rude in those situations.
So I'm going to say that cats would be a pretty rude animal if they could talk.
Not at all times, but in some cases. The second comical question that we have for today is, what is an ice cream flavor that doesn't exist that you wish you could create? Now, I've heard this conversation a few times, and we've had it at tacos a few times too, where it's like,
You want something that is not a typical ice cream flavor to become an ice cream flavor.
like we have chocolate, we have vanilla, we have all kinds of,
Fruity swirls.
things like that in ice cream, and there's, peanut butter and stuff like that. But what if you could put like a different food that doesn't have like an ice cream flavor in it? Like if you could have
Christmas dinner ice cream flavor. You could have
Thanksgiving ice cream flavor, like candy corn ice cream flavor. I'm sure that's kind of a thing, but you know where I'm getting at when I'm saying this. And I think for me, one of the tastes that I really enjoy in my life, and it's going to go against what I've given up for Lent. And it is a chocolate-based creation, but it isn't necessarily chocolate ice cream. The flavor that I would like to create would be chocolate chip pancakes with syrup. Because that is something that I really enjoy, and I love chocolate chip pancakes with syrup, but you don't get that in the form of ice cream ever. And it would be interesting to see what you could do with a pancake flavored ice cream and then chocolate chips and then throw in syrup. And I think you have an awesome sales pitch right there for some chocolate chip with syrup ice cream flavors. So if you are in the ice cream industry and you somehow are catching this video from YouTube or something like that,
hit me up. I've got some really cool ideas for you.
All right, friends, those are the comical questions that we have for today. I hope you enjoyed talking about animals and which one you feel would be interestingly rude to talk to, and then what kind of ice cream flavors you would like to create that aren't your typical ice cream flavors. But now we're going to move on to the last segment of our video today, and we are going to get into a question that we are going to dig a little deeper in. Okay, friends, today's question really isn't necessarily like a too deep thing, but it's something that we're going to be thinking about ourselves and how we interact with others and how we kind of do our lives. And the question is, are you more of an introvert or are you more of an extrovert? So for those of you who do not know what introvert and extrovert mean, I'll give you a short little rundown. Introvertedness and extrovertedness kind of comes and stems from the idea in which you interact with other people and the way that you have and experience energy with other people. If you're introverted, you likely feel more comfortable and get more of your energy when you have more alone time to do things on your own. And crowds and big groups of people kind of maybe stress you out a little bit, or sometimes, just kind of drain you of energy and you'd rather just be somewhere where you can do something alone. And if you're extroverted, being alone kind of strains on you and you'd rather be with a big group and talking, and you thrive on the energy of a group and you have a good time with a lot of people. And I think one thing that we need to understand is how introverts and extroverts can get along together too at this point, because there's a lot of different ways in which we interact with people, and it's important for us to understand how to interact best with people. If you're an extrovert hanging out with an introvert, probably the extrovertedness of you might be overwhelming the introvert in other people. So there's ways in which we can try to connect and be better prepared to talk to one another and just to have like a general social exchange with each other. So I want you to think about today whether you feel like you are more of an introvert or an extrovert. And something for me when I answer this question is I know I'm definitely an extrovert, but over the course of 2020 and the pandemic and everything where we've had to kind of like take our worlds and make them smaller, I know I have become more of an introvert. For example, last week I had a conversation with someone I haven't seen in a very long time. And it was something where we sat down for about an hour and a half and we talked out for a long time about, just catching up and other things. And by the time I was done with that one conversation with that one person, I was so drained. I had to go home and I had to take a nap. So I know that the way in which this pandemic and the way in which my lifestyle has changed has brought me more to introvertedness and introverted ways of living. And as I'm doing this right now, I'm sitting alone in my apartment, in my office, and this has kind of been my life. And the only way I've been able to connect with you is over the computer screen as we are doing right now. So I know that I've become more of an introvert in this, and I miss my extrovertedness. And it's kind of trying to find that balance of being okay with that introvertedness coming in, because I can't really do much about it until we get more into a normal style of life, but also understanding that I need to exercise my extrovertedness because I am generally an extroverted person. So I need to figure out some ways in which I can do that. I can call people, I can get connected with them on social media, I can FaceTime my friends, and I can do all kinds of things. I can write letters if I want. So I know that there are ways and outlets for me to explore that kind of social network that I need to have in my life because I am more of an extroverted person. But I also need to curate that lifestyle where I understand that I can't really be like that right now, and maybe it's okay to embrace more of an introverted lifestyle. So those are just some ways that I know I'm battling with this. If you want to share anything about how you're dealing with, your different style of living right now and how that's affecting your social life and where you see yourself on an introvert and extrovert scale, that'd be a great conversation that I would love to have. It's something that I basically studied when I was at school, where we were talking about characteristics amongst audiences and everything, and we analyzed this deeply in my communication experience with UW Green Bay. So that's something I really like and really enjoy. So if we want to have that conversation, come on over and into my inbox, and I would love to see you in there. So that's how we're going to round out today. I hope you enjoyed talking about everything that we had in our video today, from our starter, from our comical questions, and thinking about being an introvert or an extrovert. So until Monday, when we come back with some more motivation, this is it. Now remember, I'm always here if you need me. I am just one text, one email, one phone call away. So keep that in mind if anything comes up within these videos or anything comes up within your family or with your friends, that you have someone to talk to. Because as I said, I'm looking for ways to become more of an extrovert right now. So that is how we will end today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for staying to the end and listening to what we have going on for tacos and our Talk-About It Friday video. So until Monday, when we get back to some more motivation, we will see you later, everybody. Have a great weekend.